editions of VTV News. Vietnamese-Australian Prime Ministers announced advancement of ties to comprehensive strategic partnership. Vietnam and China beef up cross-border trade. And later on in our world news, Houthi attacks Greek ship in Gulf of Aden.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this edition of VTV News coming live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Pham, and here's the top news of the hour. On the morning of March the 7th, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese announced the elevation of the bilateral relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership between Vietnam and Australia at a press conference following their talks. Under this new framework, both nations will enhance political trust and diplomacy, promote more comprehensive, substantive, and effective economic, trade, and investment cooperation, strengthen cooperation in science, technology, innovation, digital transformation, and green transition, increase cooperation in culture, education, training, environmental protection, and climate change adaptation, encourage stronger people-to-people exchanges and connections between generations, and deepen shared security and defense cooperation towards peace, stability, cooperation, and development in the region and the world. On the morning of March the 7th, Vương Đình Huệ, the National Assembly chairman, presided over the second National Conference. This conference focused on implementing laws and resolutions from the 6th session and the 5th extraordinary session of the 15th National Assembly. The reports presented at the conference comprehensively addressed the new aspects, content, and execution of 9 laws and 10 resolutions. These included regulations regarding land, housing, water resources, telecommunications, specific policy mechanisms for implementing national target programs, investment in road traffic construction, and medium-term public investment plans. Recognizing that many laws from the 6th session and the 5th extraordinary session contain numerous articles and content assigned to the government and regulatory agencies, the chairman of the National Assembly noted the demanding and difficult nature of the progress. He requested the National Assembly and the National Assembly Standing Committee to organize and implement the content as prescribed by laws and resolutions. He also asked the government and the Prime Minister to promptly issue a list of documents detailing the implementation of laws and resolutions with specific assignments and completion deadlines. This action will contribute to making law enforcement more professional and methodical, meeting the expectations of voters and citizens. China continues to be Vietnam's largest trading partner. Therefore, establishing a cross-border logistics system will expedite trade activities between these two neighboring countries.
As the leading e-commerce provider in Nanning, China, this business packages and ships over 200,000 orders to Vietnam daily. This volume represents approximately 1/3 of goods exported to ASEAN countries. Typically, it takes about 2 days for each order to reach Vietnamese customers. This business has streamlined the entire process, including transportation, to achieve this efficiency.
Due to a large number of shipments to Vietnam, cooperation with Vietnamese logistics businesses will greatly assist us in transportation and customs clearance.
Viettel Post is one of the first Vietnamese enterprises to partner with Chinese localities to enhance cross-border logistics. The company plans to build 2 large logistics centers in China to stimulate the trade of goods like agricultural products, seafood, and pharmaceuticals. Additionally, it will offer cross-border multimodal transportation services, including railway, road, and waterway between the two countries.
We have set a mission to build a national logistics infrastructure to help deliver goods faster and at lower costs. This endeavor is set to solidify cross-border connections with many countries, especially large consumer markets such as China.
Only a few Vietnamese businesses invest in Nanning. This region offers a potential business environment, but it has not been fully capitalized on by Vietnamese businesses. Therefore, Vietnamese logistics businesses should consider seeking business opportunities in Guangxi province in general and in Nanning in particular.
In the near future, an association of import-export logistics businesses will be established between the two countries. This initiative aims to minimize costs and optimize the flow of goods, thereby enhancing the competitiveness of Vietnamese goods and promoting economic development.
Export turnover in the first 2 months of this year was estimated at $59.3 billion, a 19% increase compared to the same period last year. The Ministry of Industry and Trade reported that in the first 2 months of the year, 39 out of 45 products saw growth compared to the same period last year. Both the Agricultural, Forestry and Fishery Products Group and the Processing Industry Group showed strong and even growth at over 38% and over 18% respectively. The United States remains our country's largest export market, is estimated at $17.4 billion, followed by Japan, the EU and China. Nearly 3 years after implementing the Vietnam-UK Free Trade Agreement, or UKVFTA, Vietnam's exports to the UK, particularly agricultural products, have consistently maintained growth momentum. Preliminary statistics from Vietnam Customs indicate that in the first month of the year, Vietnamese goods export value to the UK rose by over 57% compared to the same period last year, reaching over $780 million. Most exported agricultural products, including coffee, cashew nuts, pepper, vegetables, and seafood, show healthy growth. Notably, many specialty fruits such as canh oranges, diễn grapefruits, cao phong oranges, and seedless lychees were officially exported to the UK for the first time. Several localities in the Mekong Delta have reported slumping rice falls during the recent winter-spring crop, with thousands of traders abandoning their rice purchase deals. Experts have warned of lost opportunities for the industry if the problem with rice production remain unsolved. In response, the Vietnamese government has assigned competent authorities to address bottlenecks in rice production and trade. These solutions are vital in ensuring stable supply to markets with growing demand for the product.
Many businesses agreed that sales of Vietnamese rice have had a price advantage due to lasting impacts of India's rice export ban. It also drove demands for Vietnamese rice at any price. However, in 2024, farmers may have to adapt to the purchasing price of importing countries.
We had to come to terms with the desired price set by Indonesia and Malaysia in order to sign the export deals. Currently, farmers can find themselves cashing in on profits with the current price, given that input costs only make up a half of selling prices.
In addition to maintaining a stable rice price, the current value chain for rice requires urgent improvements from processing, purchasing, to storage. This goes hand in hand with crop timing. According to Directive No. 10 issued by the Prime Minister, the inclusion of traders into the value chain is necessary to address the problems with abandoned rice deals.
We need a more thorough review of traders' roles and obligations. It will be necessary if they were to enter the value chain, thus ensure support for them. Right now, farmers tend to sign contracts with businesses then request loans using said contracts. The current workings of the industry is time-consuming. If we can have a firm grasp of crop timing and price-oriented supply, then it will be a lot easier.
The upcoming winter-fall crop is projected to face strong headwinds as saline intrusion and drought persists. Therefore, solutions aimed at rice storage and price stabilization earlier on are important. According to experts, effective solutions along with the 1 million hectare low-emission rice project can bring Vietnam closer to its revenue target.
In the first 2 months of this year, the export turnover for fruits and vegetables reached $970 million, a 73% increase from the previous year. Given this remarkable growth, the fruit and vegetable industry is projected to achieve a turnover of $6.5 to $7 billion this year, exceeding the initial target of $6 billion. The export market's positive signals are sparking enthusiasm among farmers as the new crop season begins. A report from Doong province.
This farmer has invested resources in his rambutan garden. Due to his meticulous care, he anticipates that this year's rambutan yield will reach approximately 20 tons, an increase of more than 30% compared to last year.
I try my best to boost the fruit's yield and quality. I hope this year's rambutan fetches a good price.
Last year, a kilogram of rambutan reached up to $1. There wasn't enough rambutan to purchase. Some growers are confident that this year's rambutan will fetch good prices.
Meanwhile, in 2023, this cooperative exported its first 500-ton batch of durians to China through official channels. The cooperative aims to double its harvest and export output in 2024.
Our fruit growing area totals 50.4 hectares. We plan to add 19 more households to expand our area to 70 hectares. Our aim is to find an outlet for the farmers' products and export 100% of the cooperative's products to foreign markets.
We focus on reviewing the planning of established production areas and concentrated production areas for each type of crop. This effort aims to achieve higher economic value, better quality, uphold the features of a green economy, circular agriculture, and strengthen linkages with supply chains.
Farm produce exports contributed $2.94 billion to Doong province. This is due to the improved quality of 11 key regional fruits. In 2024, Doong's agricultural sector plans to propose effective solutions to increase export volumes.
Prime Minister Phie has signed official telegram number 18 dated March the 5th on managing credit growth in 2024. The directive calls for the State Bank of Vietnam to balance its management of credit, interest rates, and funds for the economy. A number of commercial banks have been on a fast lane to stimulate loan demand from individuals and businesses.
This commercial bank dedicates up to $6.5 billion as credit allocation for production and business activities. It has also cut interest rates to the lowest in recent years.
We have reduced mobilization interest rates and cut back on operating costs to facilitate future lending interest cuts. Our prioritized category of beneficiaries include businesses in priority sector, small and medium enterprises, and household businesses. Our interest rate is also at its lowest in years.
Many other commercial banks are also leveraging abundant capital sources and favorable interest policies to stimulate loan demands.
Our budget for loans has neared $486 million, with more than 400 million given to individual customers and the remaining 86 million for import-export enterprises. The latter has been dispersed in large quantity.
In addition to low interest rates, commercial banks have also offered various loan support services, including online lending and streamlined application procedures. As interest rates remain competitive across commercial banks, many businesses have had several loan options with favorable rates to choose from.
We are being offered an annual interest rate of 5.2% by some banks. That is even lower than what we used to have during the COVID-19 pandemic, which was 6.8%.
Experts believe that it's normal for credit demands to stay stagnant in the first few months of the year. However, it is expected to pick up pace as production recovers.
To ensure credit growth, banks may need to keep tabs on the demand and performance of businesses with regards to the general cash flow.
In 2024, credit limits were assigned to commercial banks early. This translates to more urgent need to promote and distribute loan capital for these banks. Moreover, commercial banks have been tasked with a heavier goal of reaching 15% in credit growth, equivalent to successful disbursement of $81 billion.
And before we move to the next part of VTV News, let's check out how the Vietnam Dong is weighed against other currencies in the world market today. Coming up next, abundant job opportunities in Mekong Delta provinces. And the global magazine Time Out recently listed Sơn Doong Cave, one of the top 10 caves in the world. Following a period of stagnation, the Mekong Delta's labor market is experiencing a strong recovery, with numerous businesses ramping up recruitment. The plentiful job opportunities in this agricultural hub are enabling thousands of workers to resume work after the Tết holiday.
Zong is pleased to be a new employee at this factory, which is just a 5-minute motorbike ride from her house.
I plan to look for a job in Ben Doong province after the Tết holiday. Thankfully, I got a job near my home. The company also offers many employee incentives.
According to the Department of Labor, Invalids, and Social Affairs in the provinces and cities of the Mekong Delta, the region's demand for laborers increased from 50,000 to 70,000 after Tết. The demand is primarily in industries such as textiles, leather goods, footwear, and agriculture.
The business has hired 200 people so far. To fulfill the orders, the company will need to hire an additional 300 to 500 people in the near future.
The business aims to employ between 120 and 150 workers. Due to favorable incentives, the company has already recruited 85% to 90% of the required workforce. We are continuing to search for the remaining workers.
Annually, we host about 30 job fairs. This year, we can organize more fairs to meet the rising recruitment demand.
In the Mekong Delta, 95 to 100% of workers have returned to work after Tết. The government's investment in and completion of many key transportation projects has attracted large businesses to the area. This creates favorable conditions for job creation in the Mekong Delta, often referred to as the country's agricultural powerhouse.
From March the 5th to the 26th, tens of thousands of workers from 53 provinces and cities will participate in the selection exam in Hanoi and Da Nang City for the South Korea's Employment Permit System, or EPS. The number of registrants has seen a significant increase from last year due to South Korea's expansion of highly skilled fields that accept foreign workers.
Thanh Hóa, Nghệ An, and Hà Tĩnh have the most candidates taking the Korean language proficiency test for the Employment Permit System, or EPS, in the first exam of 2024. These provinces also faced suspensions of labor migration to South Korea in previous years.
We will comply with the rules properly to secure a better job opportunity.
We aim to achieve a stable income so we can establish a business within the country.
In the past decade, Vietnam has sent approximately 127,000 workers to South Korea. This country is one of the most appealing markets for Vietnamese workers.
We plan to open more testing locations so that candidates don't have to travel long distances. We will also recruit more farmers from poor districts as well as skilled workers in welding and mold making. Once workers return to Vietnam, they can participate in our program to connect with South Korean companies in the country. We plan to recruit nearly 19,000 candidates who have successfully passed the exam.
The Overseas Labor Center will implement measures to prevent cheating in exams, such as taking photos and collecting fingerprints of examinees. Candidates must register for an electronic identity account on the VNeID application prior to the exam.
The exam is organized with transparency and equity. Information is disseminated through the labor, invalids, and social affairs departments of all 63 localities. South Korea's Ministry of Employment and Labor has agreed to resume recruitment in localities where the majority of illegal labor in South Korea originated. That is why the number of candidates from the central region is much higher than in previous years.
Under the EPS program, South Korean businesses select employees randomly through online profiles. Workers who pass 2 rounds of exam and apply are not guaranteed a job in South Korea and are unaware of their departure date. Hence, authorities recommend that applicants maintain their regular work to avoid wasting time after submitting their documents.
The Central Highlands is currently at the peak of its dry season, with the risk of forest fires reaching extremely dangerous levels 4 and 5. This risk spans all 5 provinces: Kon Tum, Gia Lai, Đắk Lắk, Đắk Nông, and Lâm Đồng. Over the past 3 months, more than 2.1 million hectares of forests, particularly older forests, have been at risk of ignition. Fires, once started, are likely to spread rapidly and intensely. Therefore, in addition to strengthened patrols, the Forest Protection Force is actively engaging communities to bolster fire prevention and firefighting efforts.
This man is an exemplary village chief who coordinates with the rangers to protect the forest. His efforts have inspired many villagers to actively support the rangers in preventing forest fires during the peak of the dry season.
During the rainy season, it is greatly beneficial for people to be able to pick green vegetables and bamboo shoots from the forest. However, this season makes the forest prone to fires, so the garden staff are cleaning up to limit the risk of forest fires.
Currently, residents of Ja Village, Hoa Sơn Commune, Krông Bông District, Đắk Lắk Province, are collaborating with Tu Giang Shin National Park rangers to clear vegetation, create fire breaks, and manage debris. Over half of the forest area here is under local management. The residents are given essential knowledge and skills to handle potential fire outbreaks.
We establish forest firefighting teams and strengthen the leading units in the district. The Forest Ranger Department also guides people to narrow down an area for cultivation and asks them to notify authorities and forest rangers when burning vegetation. This is to avoid slash-and-burn fires spreading to the forest.
We have established a command board and fire prevention and fighting teams that are on duty 24/7 during the peak of the dry season. We also coordinate with buffer zone communes and contracted households to strengthen coordination in combating forest fires.
Most people residing and farming in areas bordering forest and in high-risk forest fire areas have pledged to strictly implement the Forest Protection and Development Law. As a result, since the start of the dry season, there have been no forest fires or slash-and-burn incidents in Đắk Lắk Province.
The global magazine Time Out recently listed Sơn Doong Cave in Vietnam's central Quảng Bình province among the top 10 caves in the world. Discovered in 1990, Sơn Doong Cave is the world's largest natural cave, encompassing over 38 million cubic meters of space. It is located within Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and has been open to tourists since 2013. Foreign newspapers have likened the cave's vastness to a space large enough for a Boeing 747 to fly through without damaging its wings. Sơn Doong is one of 3 Asian representatives on this list, the other 2 being China's Reed Fruit Cave and Laos' Paku Caves. Coming up next in our world news, Houthi attacks Greek ship in Gulf of Aden. And Super Tuesdays 2024, Trump and Biden dominate primaries. Yemen's Houthi forces continue to target international commercial shipping. They confirmed on Wednesday that they launched a missile at the Greek cargo ship True Confidence as it passed through the Gulf of Aden, causing a fire on board. A Houthi spokesperson stated that the attack occurred after the crew disregarded warning messages from the Yemeni Navy. The U.S. Central Command reported that the attack caused substantial damage to True Confidence, resulting in the deaths of 3 sailors and injuring 4 others. According to Reuters, currently there is no specific information about the status of the 20 crew members and the 3 armed guards on board. A few hours after the attack on True Confidence, U.S. and British warplanes carried out 2 airstrikes on Hodeidah International Airport in western Yemen. The Central News Agency of North Korea, or KCNA, reported that Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, inspected field training activities at a military base in the country's western region on Tuesday. The North Korean leader stressed the need for the country's army to quickly improve its combat capabilities in accordance with the current situation. Kim Jong-un's visit to the base coincided with the commencement of a large-scale annual joint exercise called Freedom Shield by the U.S. and South Korea. Pyongyang has traditionally viewed these South Korea-U.S. military exercises as invasion rehearsals, despite Seoul and Washington maintaining that the exercises are purely defensive. Super Tuesday, a significant voting day in the U.S. presidential election, has concluded without many surprises. The results suggest a likely race for the White House this November between incumbent Democratic President Joe Biden and former Republican President Donald Trump. In a recent development, Republican candidate Nikki Haley announced on Wednesday night that she would cease her presidential campaign after losing to Trump in 15 out of 16 states and territories. This resounding victory on Super Tuesday brings Trump closer to the required 1,215 votes to become the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party. Following the primary elections, the National Party conventions for both parties will be held in the summer to officially nominate their presidential and vice presidential candidates, marking the beginning of the general election season. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To watch our program, you can log on to our website or download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.